Good evening, Los Angeles. Manifold here. I hope everybody's having a phenomenal day today. Helldivers 2 is a game with pretty varied customization. Our main area of customization, of course, that is the most visually obvious to us is our armor sets. We got law enforcement drip, sleeveless drip, she calls me daddy now drip, and so much more. Each armor set has a unique passive ability that ranges from something extremely useful, like being able to carry extra stims or grenades, to pretty much downright useless in most scenarios. Looking at you, 95% arc resistance. So, in this video, I thought it would be fun to brainstorm some deeper armor customization options. And by this, I mean being able to have armor effects on potentially your helmet, your gloves, and boots as well. In my opinion, having additional effects on each armor piece would not only further deepen unique customization, but would also potentially help the previous lackluster armor effects by adding additional choices that we can choose from. And by adding new effects, the current armor passives wouldn't need to be reworked, trashed, or, changed in any further way. I feel like these passives would only add to the benefits of the current sets. Now, this video is just for fun, of course. I'm not a developer. I'm not a critic. I've never developed a game before besides my critically acclaimed game, Sheep vs. Shearers, and I have no idea how a change like this would even be implemented on a technical side and how much dev work it would take. I'm not demanding any of these changes, of course. I mean, what pull do I even have aside from being in a Doritos commercial. But I wanted to brainstorm what the possibility of deeper customization could look like in the future and how it would be implemented. I'm not going to have things that would clearly be overpowered, like having an armor set that lets you grow wings and lets you fly around like Mario. Actually, wait, hold on, that one might be pretty good. But I wanted to stay within the realistic bounds of balance and what the devs have already added into the current game with current armor sets and play along those guidelines. Now, if you guys have any armor passives for currently in the game or any effects that I maybe completely glossed over or didn't think of, I would love to know about them in the comments. So, let's jump right in. I want to start out with gloves because I feel like gloves would be something really cool to have effects on and would provide arguably more variety than the other two armor divisions that I'm going to be talking about. Also, who wouldn't want to have Michael Jackson's diamond glove while bot diving? Use the little diamonds to blind him. That's a joke, of course. Swapping glove skins would also be pretty cool in order to mix and match styles. But of course, glove passives in this case is mainly what I'm talking about and mainly what I want to dig into. The first glove passive I had thought of was something simple, fast gloves. It would be like drinking Speed Cola from Call of Duty Zombies if any of you guys have played that, but to a far lesser degree. These gloves would help you reload 20 to 25% faster. So it wouldn't be like you'd be reloading at like a breakneck pace, but it would have enough of a change in order to save you a second or two when you're fighting an enemy. I feel like that percentage would not break the bounds of the game, but would also be enough, as I said earlier, to save you a second or two while reloading, while you're being chased by bots or by Terminids or by the Voteless. This combined with the short magazine on most guns, I think would also help the run and gun playstyle that a lot of divers use and would help to keep your mags topped off. Again, not a super overpowered passive and one I think that would fit very, very well within the confines of the game. Another glove passive I thought of that would be pretty cool are sturdy gloves. Now, I don't know how you can make gloves sturdy if they're, attached to your arms, which can also be detached. These gloves would be simply to help reduce gun sway while moving. Sweet, simple, not game breaking. Of course, damage to your arms would still affect your weapon aim. It's not like the gloves would completely negate that, but it would help when your arms aren't broken or blown off to aim easier. And would be something to just help you along a little bit more. The last glove class that I had thought of goes out to my melee divers out there. And this would be the ability to go fist only. This is, like I said, this video is just for fun. I don't expect any of these changes to be added, but this would be is such a hilarious idea. We already see melee weapons that are in the game, and of course, melee isn't extremely viable, and you know, I get that. That's the point of the game. You're supposed to use weapons. Weapons are supposed to be the most effective against our enemies, but being able to have the option to go fists only, or melee only, where if you equip these gloves, you have 2 melee weapons instead of 2 guns, and the gloves would also give you 100% bonus damage to melee weapons. I think that there's already something in the game that gives 200% melee damage to weapons. I might be making that up, but I'm fairly certain there is something in the game. But it would be time for melee divers to rise. I'm not a melee diver. I've got a lot of people in my chat that are melee divers. I feel like this would add so much variety to the playstyle, and of course this playstyle is a little less conventional, you know, but I feel like something fun and hilarious like this would be fantastic to add to the game. Like I said earlier, I don't know how easy it is to implement something like this, but I feel like a change like this would go a long way with the community, especially the melee divers. The next armor set on this list that could benefit, I feel like, from a passive would be our lovely capes. As said at the end of our training, the cape symbolizes our love for democracy and makes us official Helldivers. I'm pretty sure something like that, or something along those lines. But along with capes being our outward display of democracy, why not have some additional effects on them to make them useful and stylish? Yo, we about to have the Malevelon Creek meta. Come on in for capes, brother. One of the effects I had thought of was further diving capabilities. I thought about putting this with the boots section, but I think this would be much cooler to almost glide when diving with this passive. Now, I'm not talking about flying across the streets like, you know, Batman and Gotham, but something simple like being able to dive 10 to 15% further, putting more room between you and the enemy in terms of when you're taking damage or when you're being chased, and this would help to add that extra layer of survivability and customization. It feels like sometimes when you dive, you are just barely out of the range of some enemies, and they're A, able to catch up to you faster, or B, in some cases, when they are still able to hit you, you know, even if you do dive away from them. I feel like having the ability to put extra space in between you and the enemies would be beneficial. Now, of course, 15%, you're not going to fly to a different zip code away from them, but something to just put a couple extra feet between you and the enemy to reload, to stim, to escape, to get your bearings, I feel like would be a very good change and something that could be implemented in our capes or our boots. Either one, I feel like either one would be fine to add. The second cape passive I kind of brainstormed was the turtle passive. Now, just from the sound of it, it's not complete invulnerability to the back, but just as the name describes in the passive that I thought of, provides maybe 30 to 35% damage resistant when facing away from your damage source. This could count for explosions too for all you cinema divers out there, but I feel like some sort of damage resistant when facing away from an enemy would also go a long way. There have been many times when I've been ganked by bugs, you know, when shooting a Bile Titan in front of me, like a bug comes from the back and ganks me. Now, that also might be my fault, might be a skill diff, but having the option to have some sort of resistance on your back, maybe at the cost of weight, maybe at the cost of movement speed, I feel would be beneficial. That's my opinion. I think further resistances help. Of course, not making yourself completely invulnerable, but having some sort of way to combat those surprise attacks that you might not see coming. Those are really the only two cape effects that I could think of at the time of making this video. I'm trying to kind of come up with more ideas for what kind of changes could come with the capes, but I feel like capes would be a lot harder, especially if you don't want to really change their effect at all. Maybe for the shorter capes that would increase movement speed, but I feel like capes wouldn't be that heavy in the first place. Then again, I've never worn a cape before, especially one drenched with the blood of our enemies, but you know how it goes. That's just my idea with capes. So let me know if you guys have an idea for capes. I couldn't really think of a whole lot of them besides the two that I really like there. I would love to hear what you guys have to think, if you feel like effects should be added to capes or not. Alright, we're coming to my favorite armor piece the theory craft about, and that is definitely going to be helmets. just with the variety of helmets in the game, I think there are so many cool things you can do with helmets, especially with their passive effects. And with the recent cave update, I bet you can already guess what helmet effect I would add as the top of my list. I'll give you guys a second to think on it while I go to the bathroom. Okay, say it with me now, everybody. Say it with me. Even those in the back of the class, night vision helmet. This would go so hard in the caves, and it would help on other dark operations as well. I know that there are some dark planets that take place at nighttime, especially in the megacities. A night vision helmet, I think, would be extremely beneficial. Now, this would, of course, apply the night vision in third person. You wouldn't have to switch the first person in order to activate it. That would be kind of cool. Maybe you get like a better night vision effect if you go first person. But having the helmet on, even in third person, would give you the benefit as well. I know we already have a flashlight on our guns, but who turns those darn flashlights on? But this is brainstorming, so I'm fine with double dipping effects. I'm fine with discussing things that, may be more for practicality and noob sake than it is for skill diff, but that's just my opinion on the matter. Number 2 would be an increased oxygen supply in our helmet. Now, I know pure oxygen is going to cause you to, die, but I feel like in a case like this, maybe having a helmet that has an increased oxygen supply, which would help sprint duration be increased by maybe 15 to 20%. Again, nothing crazy, nothing that's going to break the bank, but something to help give you a little bit of extra oomph and customization to help you survive. Number 3 was one of actually my favorite ones that I'd come up with, and one that I could actually see them implementing in the future, maybe in some sort of armor set though. And this would be the Eagle Communicator Helmet. I almost didn't add this in the video, but I decided what the heck, for brainstorming ideas, I may as well talk about any idea I had. And this would reduce your stratagem inputs by 2. Nothing crazy, nothing like, hey, you press one button, you can call in a hell bomb. But this would reduce the inputs that you need to input to summon a stratagem in by 2. And I call it the Eagle Communicator Helmet because instead of needing to press in the inputs for a stratagem and throw it down, you're already directly communicating with the Eagle commander, that's in your Super Destroyer to send these stratagems down. This would make it so that you can punch in codes a lot faster. The resupply, I think, would only be, 3 or 4? Resupply would be 2. It wouldn't break it that much because, of course, the better stratagems still require more inputs. But even reducing it by 2 inputs or even 1 input would, again, save you a second or 2, which I feel like would be good for balancing and wouldn't break it completely and wouldn't be, so useless enough that it'd be like, hey, why do I even have this? It would help reduce the inputs by a second or 2 and would help you to get those stratagems out a little bit faster. This next one I thought just more sounded hilarious and in practice would be ridiculous, but it would be the lead helmet for all us conspiracy theorists out there. This would negate the effect of the Illuminate Scrambler or any other interference waves that are in the game. I don't know if there are any other interference waves, but I know that when I first started, I played a lot on the Illuminate missions, and the Illuminate Scramblers, when it would mess with your stratagems, was really annoying. So maybe having like a lead helmet that would negate that effect completely if you play on the Illuminate planets, or any kind of disruption effect that maybe the other enemies have. Number 5 on this list, brainstorming ideas for helmets, would be keep your head on your shoulders / heavy helmet. Well, I mean, I guess a lead helmet is pretty heavy as well. But this would reduce damage to the head and neck area and reduces the chances of unfortunate decapitation. Now, this wouldn't, of course, be a complete negation. This would maybe be 30%. Something that would help you, to survive in these circumstances. And would help you to survive, I guess, being put down by your teammates as well. But just something simple, to help you keep your head on your shoulders and to help you survive against enemies that have better aim or bigger enemies that are more prone to, taking your head clean off your shoulders. So those are my thoughts for the helmet ones. And for the last one, I came up with some quick ones for boots as well, in case some of you are of the foot variety. Some of these effects would be marathon boots, lets you run for longer. Nothing too crazy. Helps you, helps you not spend endurance as much. Lightweight boots or feather boots lets you run faster. Doesn't change your endurance at all. Just lets you run faster, period. Sturdy boots, less chance of being knocked over by enemies. Could also apply to explosions, again, for our cinema divers out there that don't want to be knocked down by the portable hell bomb. And the last one I thought of was stick-resistant or slick boots, which reduces the slowing effects you might encounter while diving, whether that be from the environment or from enemies. Maybe it would completely negate it, but in a case like this, I feel like having some sort of resistant would be the best case, and not to have one armor piece be, intentionally superior over another one. But I guess we do see that in the game right now anyway, so I'll be wrong with it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning into the video today. I really appreciate it. These are just some of the effects I had thought of when playing the game, and over the few months I have had playing the game as well. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys have down in the comments. If you have any idea of any armor passives that could be added in the game, if you think this is a dumb idea, let me know. I read every comment. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Hope you guys stay hydrated. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck diving. Smooches!